all of this started, and by all of this I mean the activities we've just described, did you like going into work?
Yes.
Do you like going into work now?
I still try to enjoy my job. I'm very proud of what I do, but it's harder to appreciate.
When you say you're proud of your job, I take it that's a general feeling you have about your job.
Mm-hmm.
What about on a daily basis? Do you like it?
Not right now.
Do you feel safe when you're being followed like this with these activities we've described?
No, and it's one reason why I have refused to work Saturdays, because with James Cleveland and Graham Colson being out, I don't feel safe.
So tell me about that. You said you refuse to work Saturdays. Can you explain?
I've changed my schedule. I have Saturdays is a big day for them to be out. They start from the minute I get out on the streets at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they're there until I leave. And it just got to be too much to... It gets to the point where at lunchtime I'll go to the police station to eat, and they'll sit in the parking lot and wait for me to leave again so that they can follow my car.
Let me ask you a question. I'm looking for your impressions. Do you perceive their actions as being harassing?
Yes.
Do you perceive their actions as being intimidating?
Yes.
Do you perceive their actions as preventing you from being able to do your job?
Yes.
Do you perceive their actions as interfering with your job?
Yes.
Do the activities we've described this morning, do those activities cause those feelings that we just referred to?
Yes.
Have the activities we've discussed made you think about quitting?
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Just recently I've started to go onto the State of New Hampshire website and City of Keene website to find another position.
And one more question. If you were looking for a job now, would you consider taking this position in light of the activities that have been described?
No.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Your Honor, the witness made reference to her logs and notes. Could I have a chance to review them, please?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yes, the witness made reference to her logs and notes, and I'd like a chance to review them.
There was a I can't recall the exact question, but there was a question, and I heard some ruffling of papers next to me in the witness box. So, do you have the log that's been discussed? Is there any objection?
Well, the reason attorney-client privilege is I'd like to Your Honor.
I agree, but if she's referring to material in the course of her testimony, she went up there to the stand, she's brought some documents with her to the stand. If she's referencing them during her testimony,
I don't disagree. I'd just like a chance to take a look at the document.
And if I may also add,
I'm sorry?
if I may also add,
Yes.
just like any client communications are privileged. If she refers to her notes about a client communication, that is a privileged piece of information and it's not disclosable.
Not if she's referring to it while she's testifying. I disagree, and my ruling is the extent that she's referring to that in the course of answering questions as a guide to assist her in answering questions, I'm going to permit defense counsel to look at them. I'm ruling against you on that issue.
Well, if I may add, Your Honor, to clarify, with respect to whatever it was that she referenced, correct? If this were a dictionary and she looked up a single word, it wouldn't be entitled to the entire dictionary.
Okay, let's do it this way. Attorney Meyer, would you, if there's this, ma'am, what document when you were referring to that question, what specific document were you referencing?
We keep a log in our computer of when we're dealing with the Robin Hoods, and we come in every day and documentation. And this is all of our experiences with them.
Your Honor, I don't think this is a big problem. I can just take a look at the document.
Absolutely.
Just for the record, if I may, this is an activity log that was kept at the request, not necessarily the direction, but at the request of counsel, both Attorney Tom Mullins and myself, and it goes from March 13th, 2013 through September 28th, 2013. And it incorporates comments by all three PEOs that you've heard from over the course of this matter, and I'd be happy to have it marked as an exhibit.
Your Honor, before I can take a position on whether it should be marked as an exhibit or not, I need to review it.
Well, can we say that we should mark it as if
Well,
they're
mark
offering
it
it
for-
for
mark-
identification
mark it, yeah,
purposes?
I would agree,
I
yes.
think it should be marked.
Right. Your Honor, because it looks like, I don't know how many pages it is, it looks like it's 20, 30 pages, whatever. Rather than spending the court's time reading it, I guess what I'd like to do is maybe at least start with my cross-examination of this witness. We're moving towards a lunch break, and then during lunch break...
I agree.
we'll look at it.
Why don't we start, and then when you're ready to take at a logical point, some point before 12:30, I wouldn't want to go beyond 12:30. But then you can review it
Thank you.
at the break.
Ms. McDermott, my name is John Meyer. You've been, I understand, a parking enforcement officer for 1 year, is that correct?
Correct.
And what are the primary duties of your position?
To write tickets for parking violations, expired meters, reserved spaces, handicap spaces, emptying the meters, bringing the money to City Hall.
And have you performed those duties during the entire period of your 1 year's employment?
Yes,
And have you performed them competently?
yes.
What's your contact?
So the fact that you made contact reference in your testimony to having your work interfered with, you still did your work, correct? You've done it consistently for a year, day in and
Best
day
of my
out.
ability, yes.
Have your supervisors ever complained that you were not doing the job competently?
No,
You have a written job description, correct?
correct.
And I take it that job description is, may I approach the witness?
Certainly.
Your Honor, the document question the witness on is the parking enforcement officer job description. Position date April 20th, 2013. It's attached to the application, so the witness is part of the condition, so I assume that it's already part of the court record.
It is part of it. If that's the document, it is part of the court record, yes.
Dermot, have you seen this document before?
Yes,
Now, is that an accurate, and you welcome to read it, is that an accurate description of your job duties?
yes.
If I can draw your attention to, under the category Essential Duties and Responsibilities, on page 2, and it's underlined here but not in the original. Am I reading correctly where it says that one of your essential duties is to endure verbal and mental abuse when confronted with the hostile views and opinions of the public and other individuals often encountered in an antagonistic environment?
Yes,
And you were aware of that job duty when you took the position, is that correct?
yes.
Now, has the city of Keene given you any type of training or assistance in meeting those standards?
No,
And have you ever requested that?
no.
Do you agree that enduring verbal and mental abuse when confronted with the hostile views and opinions of the public and other individuals often encountered in an antagonistic environment is an essential function of your job.
Yes.
You were asked some questions earlier about a video in which Mr. Iyer was seen speaking to you from the parking lot. I do not believe at the time that you were asked to identify the distance between yourself and Mr. Iyer. Do you have a recollection of what that is?
I didn't hear what you said.
I do not believe you were asked during your direct examination to identify the distance between yourself and Mr. Iyer. So for the record, when he was speaking to you from the parking lot, in the parking lot, how far away was he?
Oh, maybe 3-4 feet away,
That was 3 or 4 feet?
give or take. Because I was standing by the door of my car, and he was standing by the meter, so I'm assuming that was probably 3, 4, maybe even 5 feet away.
So he was standing by the meter and you were by the front door of your car?
Yes.
And in your opinion, is that an appropriate or inappropriate distance by which to converse with somebody?
In which to converse with somebody, that was appropriate.
Now, you were earlier asked, plaintiff's counsel came up to within what was described as being arm's length from you and asked you if that was an uncomfortable distance. Now, it's fair to say he was approximately 3-4 feet away from you.
That's more like 2 feet. I don't know, I'm not good with measurements, I'm just
You could have a
guessing.
ruler.
Maybe we need to go there. But it's actually, when he was speaking and asking the question, he was saying he was
The arm's length, if somebody is talking to you, and they're asking me a question or something, that would be fine, because it's only going to be a second. But if they're antagonizing me and yelling at me or calling me names or sticking a video camera in my face, that is too close.
So you're saying that the distance, which is the distance that, it's not that they were too close to you intrinsically, but you felt that they were too close to you given what they were doing.
Exactly.
That's something that they're close to. Now, just to follow up on that point, it sounds like a lot of your work occurs in the area of downtown Keene, is that correct?
Yes.
And my more limited experience with downtown Keene is it can be fairly crowded.
Mm-hmm.
And there are...
Yes, yes.
Yes. And isn't it fair to say if you're walking up and down the sidewalk, there routinely are people following close behind you?
Yes.
It's not an unusual event.
No.
And in fact, it may be people close in front of you as well, correct?
Yes.
I mean, there are crowds there, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If Mr. Iyer had not been talking to you about ransom notes or stealing money, but instead had been asking you directions as to how to get to the next town over, would you have regarded him as being too close to you?
No, and I think I already said he wasn't too close to me. He was at a comfortable distance away, even considering what he was saying and doing.
So you had no problem, at least in that interaction, with the distance he was to you?
Correct.
So to understand, you described that distance as being approximately 5 feet, is that right?
Maybe 5 feet, yeah.
Okay. So 5 feet is for you a comfortable distance, even when the person is making hostile statements, but 2 feet is too close?
Yes.
Now, is it fair to say that in downtown Keene, at least, it's difficult not to, from time to time, be within 2 feet of somebody?
Well, yeah, if you're passing by somebody but you're limiting that closeness to a short time because you're passing somebody, or you're walking in the opposite direction of somebody that's walking.
And that's going to be my next question, which is, you delineate it based upon how, not just the distance, but also the time frame, correct?
Correct.
So how long, if you're 2 feet away from somebody, how long is too long?
If they're screaming at you and spitting on you, that's too long.
But screaming at you or spitting at you?
You know, when they're talking and they're spitting on you because they're too close.
Well, does it matter what they're saying?
Well, of course it does.
I mean, if somebody comes up to you and asks you for directions, and I take it that happens to you from time to time, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're wearing a uniform?
Yes.